All righty. I see some people are on now, so welcome. I'm back. I am back. And as promised, I know I was a little bit late getting on here, about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to give you guys an update. I have a couple of people who have been asking for live interviews lately. Used to do live interviews all the time. My show was called Drop a Line. Anybody on here remember Drop a Line? I want to say late 2019 to, roughly late 2023, about a 4-year run. What happened in 2023 was we did a transition to my podcast, Pen Night Radio, which was short but sweet. You could find that one on Spotify if you just type in Pen Night Radio. Some of the functions of Drop a Line continued on Pen Night Radio. But Drop a Line was where it was at. That was my interview podcast, focusing mainly on authors. I had an author on every week for 4 years. Ever since Ivy Now joined us in November of, I think, November of 2020 after all that mess? No, I think it was November of 2019, wasn't it? Yeah, it had to have been because Carey and I had just met. Yep. So in November of 2019, when Ivy joined us and we had that explosive interview with so many people tuning in, that was the ticket. Ever since that day, I had no trouble getting guests, and I had no trouble getting the word out and no trouble getting people to watch. Man, we had some good times just watching the comments fly in on that podcast. Good times indeed. I eventually retired Drop a Line because the interview stopped. People ran out of things to say. There weren't enough live updates. Kind of exhausted my guest pool. But we had a good run. A really, really good run. I'm very thankful. Very thankful. It's fun to think back on. And, but we have a couple more people asking for interviews now. A fellow named Alec who makes some amazing recipes that I've posted about. If you know me, you might have seen a couple posts for a certain cafe in the Vineland area. Alec has expressed interest in an interview, and we're supposed to be going live tomorrow, so look out for that. Also, my fellow Quentin Green, if you're out there, has been asking for an interview for a while. We'll definitely be going live soon. And yeah, pretty much anybody is welcome. I do interviews by request now only. Used to be I would reach out and I would, arrange interview. I would invite, I would arrange. But lately I've just been doing them by request to save time. So if you're watching, if you're one of the people watching, could you drop me a comment real quick? Let me know who you are. StreamYard's not really telling me who's watching. But I can see that you're coming from the Facebook page and from the One True Promotion page. All right, well, I'm going to read to you a couple pages out of the Children of Arc tonight. But first, I want to I just want to establish something real quick. We had a bit of an inconsistent streaming schedule for a little while. I was finishing up a college class. What's up, Andrew? What's up? Glad you made it on. I was finishing up a college class. Thank the Lord that's over with now. And I got sick. As you can see, I'm still a little nasally. I got a tissue box right next to me. But nothing was going to stop me being on here tonight. And I also had a couple of obligations that were going on weeknights. But I wasn't, I did about 7 nights of reading through this book that we published. This hero's journey about a man who slays demons, both internal and external. I did about 7 consistent nights. I did Monday to Thursday for 2 weeks. And then it became difficult for the rest of the month. But having gotten through that hurdle, I am happy to announce that we'll be getting on a much more consistent posting schedule. Like I said, I'll probably be live tomorrow with Eric for an interview. When the interview is done, I'll hop on and read another chapter to you. On Thursday, I'll hop on and read a couple chapters to you if I can fit it in. And, we'll probably be off on Friday. Or I might surprise you. You never know. But we're going to get back to a pretty strict Monday to Thursday schedule with these readings. I intend to read to you through this whole book. So if you're interested in hearing more of what I'm about to read to you, my request for you is to share. I don't want people to miss out on this and have to scroll through too many Facebook videos. So after I read you a couple of pages, if you like what you hear, I would love for you to just hit the share button with somebody you know who might be interested in the genre and just be like, hey, quick advertisement, come on, join live tomorrow at 9:30. This guy's going to be reading. We got to get some more people coming back to this thing. I had quite a few when I first started. Well, over 100 people were watching. So if y'all are out there, we're going to continue the story of the children of Ark. I hope you'll join us. Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. Oh, let me do this real quick. We're going to make this quick tonight before I have another allergy attack. Hopefully by tomorrow night, I should be pretty much squared away with that. Okay. Find the right page. Alrighty. This is from a chapter that is dated September 19th, 2145 AD. The next morning, Roger heated them up some breakfast. Richard was served eggs on toast. Roger poured himself a glass of ice water and sat on the couch next to Richard, staring ahead at nothing while Richard leaned over his meal. On his way out of Claymore's tavern, with a change of clothes provided to him by Roger, Richard's old boss spotted him. Did Claymore thank Richard for saving the town of Ark? No. Did he condemn Richard for failing to save so many lives? Not at all. Instead, he called, "Hey, Giant, if you're going to sleep in my house, why don't you make yourself useful?" and thrust a sign into Richard's hand. He was to mount it at the bottom of the ladder, replacing the steps. It read, "Climb the ladder for half price everything," underlined with 3 exclamation points. Danny Claymore. Richard couldn't have cared less. He left the Claymore circle behind him and started down Market Street, where groups of people were huddled in front of every ruined storefront, some rebuilding, some excavating. When he reached the box office block, the electronic gates opened for him, and he was ushered into a plaza surrounded by 5 tall buildings. Up above, a man on a scaffold was busy repairing a window on the top floor. Aside from that, things seemed quiet in here. The plaza was a square slab of asphalt with a stone fountain in the middle, around which cars were parked. There was a mural painted across the asphalt of men with pale white faces and silly-looking white wigs. Richard recognized none of them, but he assumed they were historic figures. Sandwiched between the 2 buildings to his left, Richard spied another gate, a black iron gate with grass behind it. Once again, he approached them. They automatically opened. And Richard saw the mayor's house, Asher Mansion, a historic place in Ark. All of Ark seemed to fall away as the gates shut behind him. A huge plot of land, he assumed it eventually connected with the baseball district, sat around the mansion, adorned with Palo Verde trees, tinted lime in the brilliant sunlight. Colorful blends of different bushes surrounded each tree. A long, winding path of pink rocks led from the black gates to the center of it all, the mansion. It was a large house with 3 stories, the outside a dark brown, but the roof wore a crown of gold. Windows stretched all around the house, the open shutters and curtains blowing in the gentle wind. There were 2 pillars framing the front porch, giving the house a rich and distinguished atmosphere. As he stepped between the pillars, he didn't even have to knock on the door. The doors opened on their own, and a stranger stood before Richard. To say that the man was tall and broad-shouldered wouldn't have covered it. The man was easily 7 feet tall, a full foot taller than Richard, and his shoulders were so huge they stretched the collar of his tailcoat, which in itself was 3 sizes larger than he was used to. The man compensated for it by hunching. His hands were large too, and especially in his current state, Richard thought those hands might be able to smash his skull. Despite this, the man's smile was very much like Roger's, gentle and warm. "Welcome to Asher Mansion, sir. You're 15 minutes early. Please come in." He kept one hand on the doorknob and threw out his free hand in a grandiose gesture. Richard noticed that while his right hand was gloved, his free hand, gesturing widely, was covered in a thick bandage. Richard cautiously stepped inside. That's it for tonight. If you're wondering what happens next in this mansion, do tune in tomorrow night and Thursday night as we make our way through this scene. All right, folks, like I said, share. If you like what you heard, I implore you to check out The Children of Arc. We will be getting together more and more as I'm feeling a little better, as we can get more people on here, and I can share with you guys the art that we made over the past 4 years, and maybe some sneak peeks of the art that I'm making now with God as my champion, my warrior, my healer, and my redeemer. You know, he's bringing out some great stuff in me that I never even knew was there. And I got to say, these latest books are really just exciting me in a way that I've never really known before. So I'm eager to share those with you and see what you all think of them. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you, friends, for supporting me. And if you're out there, please share. I'll see you tomorrow.